Should we always be optimistic like Pollyanna? There's no doubt that Pollyanna taught us all a valuable lesson about optimism. She believed in the best in people and in her own abilities, even when things seemed hopeless. But is it really possible to be so optimistic all of the time? The answer is yes, but there are some caveats. There is a big difference between optimism and naivete. An optimist believes that things will work out for the best, while a naive person expects it to work out for the best without any effort or planning on their part. While we all want to be optimistic, it's important that we also have some realism in our lives. If you're too optimistic about things going your way, then you might end up disappointed when they don't turn out as planned, and this can lead to depression or other mental health issues such as anxiety or panic disorder if left unchecked over time. On top of that, being overly positive about everything will make other people think less highly about you than they might otherwise, because it seems like there's nothing wrong with your life, or at least nothing worth talking about. This could also lead them away from trusting whatever information comes out of your mouth next time round. So how do we strike that perfect balance between optimism and realism? It depends on what kind of situation we're talking about here, but generally speaking, I would recommend finding something positive within each negative thing happening around us before trying anything else. What Pollyanna would do if she were depressed. If Pollyanna were to become depressed, she would probably seek help. She would be in touch with reality and realize that there are solutions to her problems. She would try to find ways to improve her situation. Maybe she could take up a new hobby or start volunteering at a local shelter. Pollyanna would also try not let her depression get the best of her. Instead, she'd use it as motivation to help others around her who may not have as much luck as she does, because after all, if there's one thing we've learned from this show and many others, it's that helping others makes us happier than anything else. Optimists are still in touch with reality. Optimism isn't the same thing as naivete. When we think about optimism, we often imagine a person who is unrealistic and doesn't see the bad side of things. But this isn't true. Optimists are still in touch with reality. They just see it differently than pessimists do. They look at a glass half full instead of half empty, and if you think about it, there's actually more water in a full glass than there would be if it were empty. Optimists don't ignore facts or pretend things aren't happening. They just focus on what they can do to make things better rather than dwelling on what went wrong or worrying about what might go wrong in the future. Optimists know that sometimes you have to lean on others and let them lean on you. In addition to being optimistic, optimists know that sometimes you have to lean on others and let them lean on you. They understand that being optimistic isn't about pretending everything is perfect all the time. It's about finding ways to make things better despite the obstacles in front of us. Optimism is not a solo act. It's not something we do alone or even with the help of only one other person like our significant other. It takes a village, as they say. And if there's anything Pollyanna taught us, it's that having friends who support each other makes all the difference in life. Optimists don't think they're perfect. They simply believe that they can improve. Optimists are not perfect. They simply believe that they can improve, and this is what makes them so powerful. They don't think they are perfect. They just know they can make a difference in the world around them. Optimism is not about being happy all the time or thinking everything will turn out well for you. It's about believing that there are good things still ahead of us and working toward those goals with passion, determination, and commitment, a word often associated with optimism. Pollyanna was a role model for her entire generation of children. Pollyanna was a role model for her entire generation of children. She inspired them to be the best they could be, no matter what it took. She taught them that there is nothing more important than helping others, and that if you work hard enough at something you will succeed. Pollyanna was also a role model for her own generation because she was an example of someone who did not give up when faced with adversity or challenges in life. Instead, she persevered through them all until she found success at whatever endeavor she decided upon next. We can all learn from Pollyanna's attitude toward life, even in the 21st century. We can all learn from Pollyanna's attitude toward life, even in the 21st century. Her outlook on life is positive and optimistic. She is a role model for children of all ages because she has a positive outlook on life. Pollyanna is not naive. Rather, she possesses an abundance of common sense and good judgment that allows her to see beyond obstacles and challenges that may arise during any given situation or event in her life. We can all learn from the way Pollyanna looks at the world and its challenges. We can all learn from the way Pollyanna looks at the world and its challenges. Pollyanna was a role model for her entire generation of children, and she remains an inspiration to us today. The key is finding ways to incorporate some optimism into your life, even if it feels like there's nothing left to be happy about. Conclusion. In Pollyanna's time, people didn't have the same perspective on life that we do today. If you were sick or poor or struggling in any way, It was seen as normal, even inevitable. But Pollyanna changed all that by showing us that there is always hope, even if things seem bleak at first glance.